Hey guys, it's the Princess of Pro Wrestling, SoCal. You are listening to Wrestle Addict Radio. I'm sending all the love from California. Mwah!
The following contest is scheduled for one fall. Please welcome Mr. Fretz.
Ladies and gentlemen, celebrating 5 years as a podcaster, introducing Nate the Great!
It is not easy when you're in the Motor City. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this Rocket Buster edition of the Game Changer podcast. I am Nate the NateFNGreat, man who has a lot to say, especially when it comes to this week. First of all, congratulations go out to my good friends Griff and Jess, who got married this past weekend. It's great to be a part of that. It's absolutely phenomenal to stand in their wedding, be there on that special day. It was absolutely awesome, and I almost passed out, but that's a story for a different time. And being joined here is the Prime Minister of Wrestle Addict Radio, and he is getting a new name for this episode, the new doubly named, this is Boomer Fretz. Boomer. I'm a millennial, you dick. Hey, all credit goes to Zach from the Young Lions perspective. We were during the meeting. One of the first things that we were talking about was all of our ages, and well, among other things. And one of the things that came up was the fact that Kate and I will be turning 30 within the next month. I think that Zach is actually probably the second oldest, and then we brought up you into the fray. Boomer Fretz just came up, so officially today you are Boomer Fretz.
Despite the fact that I'm a millennial.
Yes, hashtag Boomer Fretz is going to be trending after this episode.
Anyone that says "okay, Boomer's" getting blocked immediately, and I mean that seriously. Screw that saying, Matt. It is me. It is Mr. FRETZ with a nice bit of the bubbly, not that kind, because screw you, Jericho, for not making it available in Canada. Shout out to my not sponsor, my good friends at the Outlaw Brew Company in Southampton, Ontario.
Yeah, and also what's really sad is that all the bubbly is gone. Actually, as of this week, all of the remaining bubblies for Chris Jericho's Little Bit of the Bubbly has been sold out. So, limited time, and now it's gone.
And you didn't, Jericho, dude, you didn't help out your country. I'm disappointed in you. I'm going to go douse you in orange juice. Oh, wait, someone already did. Never mind.
But honestly, it's been a bit of a crazy week here in the world of wrestling. This past weekend, we had Slammiversary as well as the horror show Extreme Rules, which apparently lived up to the name, horror show, not Extreme Rules. Yeah, but in honesty, guys, Slammiversary turned out to be a pretty damn good show from what I've seen. Motor City Machine Guns are the new Impact Tag Team Champions. Holy hell, I am a bit sad because the North had to lose the titles, but also Motor City Machine Guns are Tag Team Champions. Yes!
I'll take that. The North, my precious Canadian bros here, they had a heck of a run. They were 13 months as Impact Tag Champions, so that deserves a lot of credit. They had a damn good match against Ken Shamrock and Sami Callihan. Ken Shamrock's 10 years younger than my dad, and he's doing friggin' topes. The guy's nuts.
Yeah.
I watched a good chunk of Slammiversary, and I discovered Chris Bay. Oh my gosh. He is going to be getting up there for my Fave Fives, perhaps. What else did we have? We had some great surprises. Heath coming out. The friggin' Deonna Purrazzo and Jordan Grace put on the match of the night, I think. Maybe even the match of the weekend. That was amazing.
Yeah, and then we had the main event, which was for the Impact World title, not the TNA Heavyweight title, because only Moose can be the champion of that deal. That being the winner of that being Eddie Edwards, which, in all honesty, well-deserved. But we also got the return of EY Eric Young, and it looks like he's going to be feuding with Eddie Edwards over the title very, very soon, which I am okay with. I am totally fine with that.
Yeah, that is great. There was a lot of neat surprises that we saw before and after as well. I mean, the Good Brothers and their beer skis. We had... Who did they lay out? I can't think of the name of the guys that they were laying out on Impact this week, because I actually watched Impact for the first time. Like, this was the first Impact-related thing I've watched since, I think, Bound for Glory 2018, the Concrete Jungle match, which, oh my gosh, was that nuts. And we also saw another return. Nothing but a bunch of trouble there, so... You know, EC3 is back in the fold, and it looks like he's going to be feuding with Moose over the TNA title. So I guess this is like a universal WWE kind of thing, unless Moose was like, hey, where's this champ of ours been? I'm just going to get this title from the bin like Jim Duggan getting the TV title in WCW. But in actuality, Moose got a fake title from Pakistan, I think, but it looks damn good. Eddie Edwards, I love it. I was wondering where Davey Richards has been, but a group chat that I am in another podcast said that he is retired to become a paramedic. So
I did hear that.
The chances of a Wolves reunion, not really there, because I would have loved to see the Wolves versus the Good Brothers. That would be a great match.
One more match. Davey Richards, one more match, please. That'd be great. Horror Show Extreme Rules, like I said, it lived up to its name. Ray Lawson Bailey retains. Karen retains. Let's get that right out of the way. Sasha claims to have won, even though she lost. We have new tag team champions in Nakamura and Cesaro. Okay. Drew McIntyre beats Dolph Ziggler in every single type of match stacked against him, which, okay, that's great. And then we had Swamp Match. Best thing about that was Alexa Bliss basically coming in, just saying, like, come on, Braun. And it's just like, oh boy, are we getting the fantasy fan fiction right here? Are we getting that heel? Then Bray Wyatt comes in, it's like, oh, okay, so that ruins that team. But, so... this is an interesting show. This is it was an interesting show, to say the least. I don't know if I would say it's the best show. I wouldn't say it's the worst show, but it's definitely one of those shows that was like, it was a safe in the middle kind of show.
It was fine. I mean, I had a lot of fun watching it. You know, quite frankly, when you're living in the middle of a pandemic and you're an essential worker, you often need a distraction. So this was a good distraction. I didn't see KO and Murphy, but apparently that match was amazing. More of that, please. Eye for an eye. The fact that we're not getting a follow-up match with a tooth for a tooth against Isaac Yankem is disappointing to me, because that is perfect irony, and that is so what WWE would do. I thought the wrestling, you had Seth and Ray were putting on a damn good match before you had that eye popping out thing. Bailey Karen unlocking managerial powers by speaking to the manager, referee, and becoming the manager, referee, was absolutely hilarious. I died. And when they... you thought that she had the title won. I'm like, this is kind of like what Paul Heyman counting the pin at Extreme Rules 2006. Yeah. Kings of the Rings brought this one up. This is like Sami Zayn unzipping his hoodie and having the ref shirt on under him. It's funny. It's very funny. The swamp match, I thought, had a lot of great, deep character work from both Bray and Braun. I think we could see a different side of Braun, something to do with maybe the Black Sheep. I know he brought that out at Backsplash, but he brought it up and he stomped on it. There was a lot of great backstory in there. You had the friggin', I swear the ninjas were probably pulling double duty here as Everglades people. You had the Fiend come back, and I think, we're setting up SummerSlam. It's the Fiend getting his title back, and the whole Alexa Bliss thing, people have been calling for Alexa Bliss to be Sister Abigail since like 2016, like since she came onto the main roster, because they're like, oh, she's great for the part, she looks the part, and then she's unlocking some people's old Tumblr posts to be like, you want to be with me, Braun, and you look at the Mixed Max Challenge, yes, and their ride along, which was funny because Braun has an app that marks down the places he's taking a shit, which it's funny. And like Alexa's like, he's posting his poop app again, and people have fun like, oh, they totally banged. I'm like, well, hey, if they did, all power to them. But I thought she was with Buddy, but I don't know if that's a thing.
No, not anymore. They've been broken up for a while now.
Okay, I don't keep tabs on wrestlers on like couples gossip. I don't care, but it was a fun weekend of wrestling. I'm not gonna shit on Extreme Rules or Halloween Havoc, whatever we want to call this. Yeah, was this supposed to come out in October? I mean, are we banking on having crowds in October? We're not. We're not having Survivors. Forget about crowds for the rest of the year. The way, no offense, America, the way you guys are handling the virus, we're not much better. But I have a story to tell you off air. But yeah, good weekend.
It's been a damn good weekend. For a lot of people that don't know, I got the chance to interview Molina this past weekend, and the episode will actually be appearing tomorrow on Sunday. Although when we're recording this, it's on a Thursday night, so this is going to be a couple days now. Whatever. Tomato. I don't care. Let's get into what we're going to be talking about tonight. We're going to be talking about the man who was Mr. Fretz's theme song for the night, that being the icon Sting. Steve Borden, whoever you want to call him, Sting has been a centerfold for wrestling for years. I don't care what anybody has to say, whether you look at his youth or whether you look at his later years. He has been one of those guys who has been a centerpiece for so many different wrestling matches, promotions. He is one of those guys that everybody has talked about. And we're going to kind of go through like a brief retrospective about his career and talk about the highs, the lows, also bring up a couple cool things when it comes to Sting. But yeah, let's get kind of into it. How it kind of started off is that Sting did not become the Sting character at first. He was actually, a lot of people usually call him Surfer Sting. He had the bright and colorful attire. He had the bright and colorful yellow paint. He had the bleach blonde hair. And everybody loved him. They thought that he was great. He got the crowd energetic. He got everybody to get behind him. And at a young age, he was battling against Ric Flair. And Ric Flair has said that he's his greatest rivalry to date. And to be honest, I've seen a couple of their matches. Holy hell, it's great stuff. Because you usually see how people handle Ric Flair's stuff, like his chops and his figure four and stuff like that. Sting was one of the first few guys who just literally just started, just immenting off that. Whenever Ric Flair would chop him, he would just start screaming. And Flair's just like, Oh, crap. They just played off against each other so well, and it resulted in one of Sting's many world title wins against Ric Flair. So, seeing Sting as a huge fan favorite at the beginning really did kind of set the pace for what he was going to be for the remainder of his career, but also kind of showed you the kind of impact he had with the crowd, especially the fans.
Oh, yeah, Sting was if you were a WCW guy, or if you were, WCW, NWA down south, or I didn't have it as much in Canada, but if you had that, Sting was your guy. WWE had, Hogan must pose, pal. In NWA, WCW, it was Sting must woo, baby. I don't know why I went Dusty, but did you know that Sting kind of started out in a tag team?
I did know that, and I'm very curious if you know who his tag team partner was.
I do. Do you?
I would not be saying if I was curious that if I didn't. Yeah, I do. It should. If I remember correctly, it is the Ultimate Warrior.
That is right. That is in the Continental Wrestling Association. So between 85 and 86, kind of where he got his start. He wrestled under the name Flash, teaming with Jim Justice Hellwig. So Flash and Justice.
Flashy Justice.
I don't have the tag. Yeah, there we go. I don't have the tag team name here. Then he went into the UWF, which was run by Bill Watts. Then the rest is history. He ended up in Crockett promotion / World Championship Wrestling in the late 80s. And
it's
the rest is history.
The rest is indeed history, because, like we said, he became a huge household name. He became a fan favorite. But when push came to shove, Sting knew that he had to revitalize his character around the time that NWO started getting really popular. It was around that time that Sting just had to get rid of all the bleach blonde deal. He had to get rid of the flashy face paint. He knew that, right now he was just kind of one of those guys that was just, it was just kind of there, to say the least. He was one of those guys who, very flashy, but they had a lot of flashy characters. They also had the cruiserweights, so all the flashiness was kind of put on them. So Sting had to reinvent himself. And it was one fateful movie that would forever change who Sting would be for the remainder of his career. In all honesty, it's one of those things that's still amazing that this character and this kind of metamorphosis lasted throughout the rest of his career, because you would have thought that he would have changed, some things about it. Although we can make the argument later on in his career with a different company. But yeah, we got Crow Sting, which was the complete white face paint with some black lines. He had the long black hair. He had the trench coat. He had the baseball bat. He was like I said, he's Crow Sting. This is a guy who was just hanging out in the rafters, and he would come down from the skies. He's just one of those guys who just was very ominous. So much that when he started doing this, a lot of people were trying to hopefully see Sting versus The Undertaker as a dream matchup.
Yeah, we're totally going to get that in Saudi Arabia in like 5 years. I hope not. I hope not.
Oh, don't tempt
it. Don't tempt it, no. So, yeah, around 96, Sting started to grow his hair out, and this was when I was starting to become more aware of Sting. He was teaming with like Luger and all them, being among the first people to stand up to the NWO. Of course, this would culminate in the match at Bash at the Beach, which we've already talked about before. The famous Hogan heel turn. Whose side is he on? Sting. After this match, he kind of disappeared for a little bit here. I think he was supposed to be at the War Games match at Fall Brawl, September '96, and Hogan, Hall, and Nash. They were promising a new member of the NWO, a fourth member of the NWO for the War Games.
That's right.
and it was Sting, except not really. This was, of course, the fake Sting played by Jeff Farmer, who would go on to have a career in New Japan or All Japan, whatever the promotion was called at the time, or a different promotion. Yeah, he had, because they had the NWO Japan branch off over there, because, of course, the New World Order is based on a Japanese supergroup as well. So it made sense that he'd be over there. Like, Wall Street was there. Scott Norton was a member of NWO Japan and America. Yeah, he didn't wrestle, I think, for, I want to say, at least 16 months between the fall of 96 and 97, because he would always come out and bat down the NWO. You wouldn't see him for a while. Then all of a sudden the lights would go out. The spotlight would be on him, pointing the bat, and we were waiting for Hogan versus Sting. There were these vignettes, these things with Commissioner J.J. Dillon, the on-screen authority figure of WCW, and every time he would have something to do with Hogan, and around mid-97, I think the crowds were really starting to clamor, like, Sting, 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 and he has the, someone, it might have been him, had the microphone out, and it's like, yeah, you want Sting versus Hogan? You got it. This was months before, because Starrcade, we all know, takes place in December. And you want to start building that maybe around Hog Wild, at least in my mind. Because WrestleMania, when do we start building for WrestleMania technically? Maybe what, Survivor Series?
Yeah, and you kind of also are going to hit a crucial deal on the head, because you were talking about 97, building up for Survivor Series 1997. One thing we could definitely kind of mention here was that was the same night that we had the Montreal Screwjob. And a little bit later on, we would have the NWO come out with nice little Canadian flags, and they're just like, oh, something nice, something Canadian this way comes. Props go to Adam Blanc for that reference. Says basically he's going to be joining the NWO. He's going to be making sure the NWO is winning at Starrcade. And that was going to be the situation. But unfortunately, what did we get at Starrcade? Bret Hart is special guest referee for the match between Larry Zbyszko and Eric Bischoff. Okay. And then we have the main event, which was built up for almost a year of Sting versus Hogan. And what was supposed to happen was supposed to be Nick Patrick was supposed to do a fast count, and Bret Hart was supposed to come out and say, no, this is not going to happen. We're restarting the match, and blah, 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 that kind of deal. But I don't know if Nick Patrick forgot or if it was the power of creative brother, that Nick Patrick did a regular count. So as soon as that happened, it looked like Sting just, forgot to kick out or something like that. And then Bret Hart basically came out looking like a dick, basically saying, oh, you won fair and square, but we're still going to restart the match anyway. It is one of those things where it's like, you do not just, for that kind of pettiness, you don't risk the main event of a huge matchup you've been building up for a long time for that kind of pettiness. You don't risk that. But in the end, Sting became the world champion. And it was one of those things where it's like, hey, Sting's going to be world champion. This is going to be great. Lulz, we're stripping over the title. Frick.
All that build-up. A year of build-up, and the payoff sucked. I mean, this was, I think, to some, the beginning of the end for WCW. Although, you could say, 98 for them was a very lucrative year. I mean, you had Karl Malone, you had another appearance by Dennis Rodman, which I just finished watching The Last Dance before we got on here, and they covered when Rodman went to WCW, I think for the second time.
Oh, jeez.
And it was during the 98 finals against, I think it was the Jazz. And you go off and do that while your team is going for a dynasty here. The 6th NBA title in 8 years. And then, well, if you know your basketball history, you know that right after that, Chicago, and most of them were gone. But, yeah, so Nick Patrick made a fast count. This was kind of, in my mind, alluding a bit to Hogan Andre from WrestleMania 3. If an eagle-eyed viewer of WrestleMania 3 would see that Andre, very early in the match, hits like a belly-to-belly or his double underhook to a pin suplex, and it looks like he has the pin. They don't stop the match, but they're like, oh, hey, Andre had the win here, Gorilla. What's going on here? Get Jack Tunney on the phone. Sting, we have here, just because Bret Hart was there, they're like, yeah, we're gonna do the Montreal screw job a month after you lived through it. And then they would do the same thing to Bret. Like, even with when he was in Natty's corner in NXT against Charlotte, they did some kind of screw jobby finish. He can't escape it. I mean, my goodness. We had here the Scorpion Deathlock, and they won. Fans were crapping on this. They hated the controversy. This should have been concrete, because most of the rest of Starrcade 97 was all about the NWO losing, was all about them starting to get a little bit of steam out, like lose their momentum. Eric Bischoff went to Larryland. I think Scott Hall lost the match. Kevin Nash was supposed to wrestle, but I guess he was injured. There's various podcasts about Starrcade 97. Go listen to them. But yeah, there's a lot here that Hogan was not willing to lay down for Sting, despite the fact that Sting helped resuscitate Hogan's career during this entire build, because Hogan must pose, pal, was very much a thing when he was in the NWO, but now it's like, hey, I must pose, brother. Here, look at this money. This was just incredibly insulting. It stunk.
It definitely did. Then they had this whole deal where they had Sting join NWO Wolfpack. That was a thing in and of itself.
It was good.
Fred said it was good. But it was one of those things where, for me, it was like, well, you basically just have two NWO factions. One's red and black, one's white and black, so very little connection between. Anyway, but after that kind of faded off, we kind of talked about the lucrative end of WCW. Sting and Ric Flair, I believe, were the final main event of WCW, if I'm not mistaken, or am I wrong?
Yeah. The final Nitro you had, we covered it in the past, actually. Now that I can remember, you had Ric Flair was out there cutting a really great promo, and then they go on and have their standard match. It wouldn't be the same. It wouldn't be like their Great American Bash 1990 match, which is amazing. Sting, early in his career, he could put on a great match with almost anyone. I mean, I remember him having a pretty decent match with a wrestler who everyone makes fun of, but to me, he's probably in my top 10 of all time, that being Sid Vicious. I mean, Sid Vicious might be like my number 6 favorite wrestler of all time, and I'm not kidding. I named my pet cat after him when I was 12. That's how much I loved Psycho Sid. But he even had him with then, and of course, with every great Sting moment, you'd have stupid shit like a Black Scorpion. You'd have freaking RoboCop at Wrestle War 1990? Oh, I'm going to have to consult my other historians about this. The Fourth Wall guys, formerly of our network, they were doing some watch-alongs of old NWA. I'm going to have to get back into that, because 80s NWA, very good. Yeah, the Black Scorpion was dumb. You had this other... I'm just going through his stuff. Yeah, the Starrcade main event stunk. His Wolfpack one wasn't bad, but it was also... you're fighting against the NWO, and then you become a member, sure, of the face version of NWO, in air quotes. Bret Hart became a member of the NWO too. Everyone joined. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Judy Bagwell is like a honorary member just because Buff is. Sting, they were kind of looking for Sting, like Hollywood and Wolfpack. Hey, let's recruit Sting. But he made his choice in June '98 on an episode of Nitro. And the way he revealed himself to be in the Wolfpack was kind of neat. So he entered the ring. He removed his black trench coat to reveal a black and white NWO shirt. No! Are you kidding me? No, and just as Hogan started to celebrate, Sting clotheslines and ripped off the shirt, revealing the Wolfpack shirt underneath.
Nice.
This website I'm on just made me remember that. Yeah, he feuded with Hollywood, the Giant, and had a match with Bret Hart at Halloween Havoc 98, another Game Changer legacy content there, before he was taken off with injury in 98. Unfortunately, there was also... Go back to the Gift of Podcast if you want to hear all about the Vampiro feud.
Oh, boy.
And let's just leave it at that. Mance, how?
Just how? Well, I'm pretty spent as far as WCW goes. Do you have any other moments or maybe matches as far as WCW goes before we move on?
Not a lot. I mean, just as I said, his feud with Ric Flair. He had some great matches with Vader. My goodness, like his. Right. I didn't come into WCW until the NWO was a thing. I didn't even know WCW existed until 1996, if I can be perfectly honest. But you have to go back and watch. I think Vader and Sting, they trade the title back and forth. You can absolutely avoid anything to do with Sting and Hogan and Thunder in Paradise. I don't recommend even looking into that. Sting was on... I think he was on Baywatch, which kind of gave us that short-lived Thunder. Just Google it later. You'll have a field day with it. Just pure 90s cheese. And as for the rest, his early stuff, I mean, like there's Wrestle War, there's Battle Bowl, I think he has a tag match with Davey Boy Smith against, I believe it was actually Vader and Sid. Like, Davey Boy had a brief run in WCW after losing the Intercontinental title to HBK in '92. He was fired, for obvious reasons, but I'm trying to think of other... Yeah, Halloween Havoc 1990, though that was Sid Vicious, but yeah, just anything. Early stuff. Check it out. Feud with Flair, feud with Sid, and Great American Bash 1990. Absolutely watch it.
Yeah. Some good stuff to look into. So now we're getting into the part of where I got introduced to Sting, and that was in TNA. So for the first early parts of TNA, he kind of made these sporadic appearances. He didn't really do too much. It wasn't until it was Final Resolutions 2006 that he started taking more of a bit of a full-time role, where he had a tag team match with Christian Cage, defeating the team of Jeff Jarrett and Monty Brown. And after that match took place, he basically said, I'm retiring. So he puts the baseball bat, he puts his trench coat in the middle of the ring, leaves, and we're supposed to assume that, hey, this is the end of Sting. But we have Paparazzi Productions, Alex Shelley's one of his finest works. Oh my God, I remember this. It was great.
Oh yeah, so good.
He's basically stalking Sting without knowing, but then there comes a point where Sting actually catches him, and he's like, "Oh, you've been spotting me? Turn that camera off. Turn it off. Turn it on." I love how at the end he just says "turn it on" for some reason. Basically, he makes the announcement that he's going to be at Destination X and he's going to attack. He's going to come after Jeff Jarrett. He doesn't come back as Sting though. He comes back as the man Steve Borden, which is one of those things where it's like, oh, okay, this is kind of real life stuff going on here. He just clears house. He puts Jeff Jarrett in the Scorpion Deathlock, and then out comes Scott Steiner. I do remember that. That was my first show from TNA was Destination X, where just seeing that, Sting comes out. Then I see Scott Steiner. I'm like, oh, this is interesting. Oh, boy. he would lead a team to Lockdown to take on Team Jarrett, which featured AJ Styles, Rhino, and I think it was R-Truth, Ron Killings. That's right. He started getting this feud off against Jeff Jarrett, basically trying to battle him for the NWA World Title. He would come unsuccessful at Hard Justice because of interference from Christian Cage. There's a different story to that. And then he had a career versus title match at Bound for Glory with Special Ring Enforcer, the arriving Kurt Angle. Oh, trust me, I am going to be talking so much about Kurt Angle during this deal. He comes in, and he's, like I said, the Special Guest Enforcer. Sting wins the matchup. He keeps his career, and he wins the NWA World Title. Gets in a weird feud with Abyss, but later on during his career, he would start getting involved in a matchup against Kurt Angle. In all honesty, Kurt Angle versus Sting is just magical. In all honesty, that's where we started seeing a lot of his just a lot of the good stuff. The chemistry that these two have was just absolutely amazing. Kurt Angle as the heel, Sting as the babyface. Just I would love to just see more Sting versus Kurt Angle.
I'm with you there. I was actually watching NWA back when it was weekly pay-per-views, because I told you about my buddy Dave's Basement is a centerpiece for much of, I just lost my spot on Wikipedia, that's perfect, on much of my wrestling viewing. And when he moved out, I became friends with his father. He was one of my mentors at church. So I told you about that thing. You know this little card you can put in your satellite receiver box to kind of not really steal pay-per-views,
right,
actually steal.
Yeah.
And it was kind of funny because this fellow was an elder at my church. And he would tape NWA TNA for me all the time. So Sting actually made his first appearance at, I'm going to call it Slammiversary 1 because it was the first anniversary of TNA in 2003. So you had Jeff Jarrett teaming with Sting to defeat the team of AJ Styles and Sean Waltman.
Wow.
Six-pack. Yeah. So we had and I was watching all of these as well, and around this time, Sting had a made-for VHS at the Christian bookstore movie. I forget what it was called, but it was kind of all about his journey to faith. He's a Christian. And it showed a little bit of quasi-wrestling. It wasn't very good. I think Jeff Jarrett and Abyss made cameos in it, but they were maybe stunt doubles. I forget what it's called. I don't, even if you're a believer, I don't recommend it. Sorry. Yeah, it's not good, but well I don't know what that was. Okay, that wasn't good. I accidentally made an emergency call on my phone. Perfect.
Oh, jeez.
I'm gonna get in shit. I don't know what. I thought that was one of those emergency alerts. You've heard the last of me here, folks.
Only on the Game Changer podcast can you see an accidental emergency call being put out.
I just got this bloody phone. I'm scrolling through Wikipedia. Then I press the emergency SOS button.
Oh,
Good Lord. So anyways, he was having sit-down interviews with Mike Tenay discussing his career and actually his faith. Sting, he was returning, and then this is when he was starting to feud with Jeff Jarrett and start to really sniff the NWA title. He would eventually win it in 03, 04, but Sting, A Moment of Truth, that's what it's called. Don't look it up.
Oh, okay.
And eventually, as NWA TNA started to have their Spike TV deal and their monthly pay-per-views, I would be more familiar with him with this as well. So he had a great start, and I'm actually just getting the Alex Shelley thing here now. So,
so let's talk about one of the more interesting deals that happened in TNA. Well, especially for Sting, and that being the creation of the Main Event Mafia. Because how it really turned out was that Sting was kind of doing a bit of a heelish deal where he was basically saying that all of these young pups, all of these young guys, are taking the legends for granted. And this what really came out when Samoa Joe was taking on Booker T in his hometown and basically beat the ever-living piss out of him. And Sting was trying to stop him, and the final straw was Samoa Joe just flipping him off, and Sting just being like, okay, fine. Just beats him up with the bat. We would see him do a Scorpion Death Drop on AJ Styles after he beat down Kurt Angle after a last man standing matchup. Oh my god, that's another great matchup. But then Sting would go on to defeat Samoa Joe for the TNA World Title at that year's Bound for Glory. But then he would create the Main Event Mafia with himself, Kurt Angle, Kevin Nash, Booker T, and later on, Scott Steiner. And this was kind of like their version of NWO. But one of the things I kind of do appreciate about the fact is that they just were just a bunch of guys that were just beating up at people. And a lot of times they would come out in these like really nice suede suits and just look like they were just absolute badasses, and they would have sunglasses on. The only problem was that even though he was supposed to be a heel, Sting was still getting cheered, and people were freaking out about this. They were just like, "Oh no, we can't have Sting be cheered. He's supposed to be a heel. Supposed to be this. Supposed to be that." But I would have just said, keep going with it. Let them cheer for who they want to cheer for, and let them boo who they want to boo for. Let them just continue this whole entire ordeal and see what happens. But eventually they had the deal where Sting would be broken off from the Main Event Mafia, and he would continue to feud a little bit with Kurt Angle. I think he even had a good matchup with Matt Morgan at one point. I think it was Slammiversary the following year, if I'm not mistaken. But Sting was definitely high on really trying to get a lot of young talent over. And it was also during this deal where we thought that we were going to see the last of Sting, because it was at Bound for Glory we would see Sting versus AJ Styles for the TNA World Heavyweight title, and they kind of made it like, is this Sting's final curtain? After the matchup, which actually was very underwhelming, to say the least. I was kind of expecting a little more from these two, but at the same time, I'm not going to complain. AJ Styles retained, and Sting basically said, well, we'll see what happens. We'll see kind of what happens with everything here. I mean, people are basically almost pulling like a Brett Favre deal where it's like, one more year. And I think he even made a reference to Brett Favre at the time. He was like, I'm not going to pull a Brett Favre, or I'm just going to keep continuing until I can't no more. I'm going to make a very good decision about it. So that happened. Yeah, but all honesty, Main Event Mafia was a very interesting time for Sting. Even though he couldn't really be fully heel because fans were not really allowing him to, I give him credit for at least trying.
Yeah, absolutely. This was around the time I started kind of losing out on Impact, just because I was in college and I didn't have it really available to me. I was able to stream Monday Night Raw, but I didn't have the time for TNA, so I can't speak to very much of Impact Wrestling until at least 2013, like his feud with Bobby Roode.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which I remember it vaguely, because this was around the time like Hulk Hogan was the GM of TNA, and Brooke Hogan was in a romance with Bully Ray, and it was weird. Yeah. And this has of course led to Aces and Eights. So from this point, at least with Sting and Impact, it's very foggy for me. So by all means, you can take the reins.
Sure. I do want to mention one thing that definitely did happen before whole Aces and Eights, as well as the Bobby Roode deal, because in all honesty, there is still some really good gems from that. And trust me, there's one gem in particular I'm excited to talk about. But there was one match that took place in 2011.
Oh, no.
You know where I'm going with this. That is still one of those things that Sting is still very seldom not happy to talk about this. But it gets discussed, and that happened at Victory Road, which was Sting defending the world title against Jeff Hardy. For those of you that don't know basically what happened here, is that Jeff Hardy was not in a good place. He was literally just drugged up. Absolutely. So let me paint you guys a picture. Jeff Hardy's music hits, and everybody's thinking, okay, here he comes. He's the challenger. Nothing's happening. This goes on for at least 2, 3, maybe 5 minutes. Then finally, Jeff Hardy comes out. Apparently, people were rushing to find Jeff Hardy because he was supposed to be at that point getting ready to make his entrance, and he was just in a random spot in the arena that nobody could find him. They finally found him. He goes out, and he is just not in the right mindset. You could tell. Sting comes out. He notices the same thing. Eric Bischoff's just saying, "Okay, we need to get this matchup just done and done." So he's basically trying to tell Sting, okay, you're just going to hit him with a Scorpion Death Drop, 1, 2, 3, that's it. He tries to tell the same thing to Jeff Hardy, who was probably just thinking, "No, I'm fine. They do that, and it's one of the most forced pins I've ever seen. If you ever want to see a moment where this is just literal shoot fighting, definitely take a look at this matchup. But it is still one of those things that's just hard to look at, because this was not Jeff Hardy at his best. This was Jeff Hardy at his worst. Yeah, Sting hits a Scorpion Death Drop, and he is just locking that pin in with all of his might, and he retains the title. That event was just, that was tough. But later on down the line, and as you mentioned with Aces and Eights and Bobby Roode, we get a nice little gem from the Stinger, and that was the form of his own version of the Heath Ledger Joker. Oh my lord, this was still one of the funniest things I've seen Sting do. He literally just acts a little crazy. He wants to see the real Hulk Hogan come out. And I just love so many of these things where he just slowly starts going a little crazy. He just slowly starts creating this weird new face paint for him. To the point where obviously he starts going into like the Heath Ledger deal. You see him definitely starting to get that Joker smile, and his like face paint is just all meshed up. It's just absolutely amazing just seeing this deal. I love the moments where he is just acting so crazy. Like he'll like Eric Bishop will just like swear at him, and it's like, what hurts most are my feelings. You cussed at me, Eric. It's like, what are you doing? But I think my all-time favorite deal is still Hogan's just like, I just want this to end, and I will do anything to make it end. And Sting just goes, how about milk and cookies for all? Colorful balloons, puppy dogs, flowers. Excuse me, we need flowers all over the place, red and yellow, just like you. And he gives Hogan a hug and just pecks him on the cheek. And I'm like, this is just insanity, and I love it. just him looking like he's having such a riot as Joker Sting, as I like to call him. And you mentioned the whole thing with Bobby Roode. It's another great moment where he just breaks out again, where he just goes, Bobby, you didn't win any war. You woke me up. He just applies the face paint, goes absolutely crazy, just saying like, I'm not gonna play the Mr. Nice Guy card anymore. I'm gonna get my boots, my tights, my face paint, and I'm gonna come to Victory Road, and I'm gonna beat the crap out of you. Just, if you get a chance, check out the Sting Bobby Roode promo. It's amazing, because Bobby Roode sells the hell out of this whole deal. As soon as Sting just basically says, I'm going to beat the crap out of you, Bobby Roode's just like, oh boy, I'm in trouble. But unfortunately, this would also be kind of like the nearing of the end for Sting, because once they got into the feud with Aces and Eights, he has a match with Bully Ray, and supposedly he's not supposed to battle for the world title ever again, which, hey, he wants to take himself out of the world title contention? That's fine. He wants to make sure that other people are getting his chance. It's fine by me to see that. But unfortunately, he would get one more chance in one of the most... Oh, this is going to be a tough one. So, his final match in TNA. And there were still points where they were trying to sign Sting. They were trying to keep him under the contract. His final match in TNA is literally him versus Magnus. Basically Dixie Carter's little puppet during that time. Which in all honesty, Magnus deserved so much better. It's a match in which we see a lot of interference, and Magnus defeats Sting to end his career in TNA, and just that was rough. That was also kind of sad, just to see that. But at the same time, it is one of those things that garnered actual heel heat for Magnus. He basically makes Sting just leave. And it's one of those things where it's like, oh, that means no more Sting? No. Obviously, I would be wrong. But we'll get into that a little bit. But, Mr. Fretz, what are some of the memories that you had of Sting during his final moments in TNA?
Well, I was just scrolling through his wiki here, and I remembered he was the on-screen commissioner for a little bit.
He was.
Before
oh, my gosh. Oh, one of my favorite moments of him as the commissioner is literally him telling Madison Rayne, you have no power. You have nada. Zip, zilch, goose egg. He's just mocking Madison Rayne's scream. Oh my gosh. Sting was a treasure in TNA. I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah, he was alright. I don't think I've seen Joker Sting, but I remember seeing this. He had a bird. He probably had like a falcon or something on a post.
The crow.
The crow in the office. I didn't know Sting was good at falconry. Who would have known? But I remember his early like NWA TNA stuff against the likes of Jeff Jarrett, people maybe even like Monty Brown. Bound for Glory, where was it the Kurt Angle debut? Bound for Glory.
Yeah.
That was, I think, the first TNA pay-per-view that I ordered on pay-per-view, like at my parents' house.
Oh, I was going to say, fun fact. Do you know what the official song for that was?
Oh, was it from Fozzy?
It was Fozzy's Enemy by Fozzy.
That's right. Because remember when that was around all these rumors for Chris Jericho going to TNA came out, and they're like, hey, let's butter up these people by using Fozzy. That was right after he left the WWE for a few years.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, other Sting TNA stuff, this has to be his matches with people like AJ and Kurt Angle, and things. I ducked out right before the main event Mafia, so literally anything in there. Was it a match with Samoa Joe you said he had?
Yeah.
Right, okay. And then he had another brief title run from that. So it's really sporadic. Like, I can't think of the weekly pay-per-views off the top of my head because there were so damn many of them. But I might have to relive them again someday. Maybe I'll get Impact Plus.
So we go from TNA to something that a lot of people were hoping was going to happen. And it did. 2015.
14.
Are you sure?
Let me do.
Because I'm pretty sure it was 15.
I think the Survivor Series.
You're right. You're right. It was 14. Because now thinking about it, it's like, oh yeah, CM Punk quit that year. WrestleMania 30, so 31 would have been 15. Yep, nope, it's too far. It's 2014. You're right. Chalk one up for Fretz. Yeah, November 2014. We have Team Cena versus Team Authority. If Team Authority loses, then they will be barred. They will be gone from WWE. If Team Authority win, then it's everybody except Cena gets fired. Honestly, this was one of the best Survivor Series matches in such a long time. It still holds up. It's so damn good. Even up to like the Big Show heel turn. 926th time for all we know. Dolph Ziggler, he's basically, combating back. He beats Kane. He beats Luke Harper. It's him and Seth Rollins. And we're thinking, oh my God, it's going to happen. Here comes Triple H. He's like, no, you ain't winning. I'm going to pedigree you. Sorry. I'm going to pedigree you. There we go. That feels more right.
That was more plumpy than Triple H.
No, Plumpy's more like, I'm gonna pedigree ya. He sounds like a taxi driver from Boston. Get me Scott Armstrong. We need a count. So here comes Scott Armstrong. As soon as he makes that first count, Crow. We turn over, and we just see this. I just see the Titantron, and I'm just like, "What is? No way, no way!" Just hear the music, and out comes Sting. Oh, my sainted mother, was this just an absolutely beautiful moment. See Sting staring down against Triple H, and all I'm just thinking is like, oh my God, we're getting Sting, we're getting more Sting, I'm happy. He just Scorpion Death drops Triple H, gets Dolph Ziggler onto Seth Rollins, 1, 2, 3. Team Cena wins. For once, not for once not a Cena win. It was a Dolph Ziggler win, which they did absolutely nothing with. Great job, WWE. But Sting...
It should have been me. Oh, wait, it was. Then it wasn't. Then it was. Then it wasn't. Then it was.
Me.
Then it kind of was 8 years ago, so get over
it. So Sting, he gets a matchup set up between him and Triple H at WrestleMania. Boy, oh boy, was this an interesting matchup. Not because of the wrestling part of it. It was more because of the fact that we had D-Generation X. Oh, crap. They're going to try and bring out the... And then out comes NWO. Okay, this is more nostalgia feels now. And then the frickin' Sledgehammer of Doom. Sting lost his first match. Why? Oh, Lord, mercy me, why? It's like, okay, you know what? He's probably going to at least come back for another deal. It's fine. Fast forward to, I think it was a week. It was either the night after or a week after SummerSlam. Stephanie and Triple H are promising Seth Rollins this statue of Seth Rollins where he has the U.S. title and the WWE title. And we get this huge drum roll.
Jon Stewart.
Oh, my God. Oh, Jon Stewart. Go to hell, Jon Stewart.
I love Jon Stewart.
Jon Stewart should have gotten that ball busting moment by the Good Brothers. I'm sorry. I'm going to be that person. That's one of those few times where it's like you deserved it for all the times that you just messed up everything. You deserved that. But yeah, they're looking to reveal the statue. Curtain goes up. It's Sting. It's one of those moments where it was just perfect to see that. And it was one of those moments where I was not expecting that. I was like, oh my God, Sting's here. Oh my gosh, yes, we're getting Sting versus Rollins. Oh my gosh. Is that a thing that's going to happen? This is going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome. And then we get to Night of Champions. Oh, I'm sad. I'm super sad. Because this just... I'm just going to preface this on saying this, that Sting has stated on the record that he does not blame Seth Rollins for what happened. And really big of him to say that. And I'm also going to be one of those people that says, I'm not really going to blame Seth Rollins for it. This is just a situation where it unfortunately happened. And I hate that it happened, but at the same time, sometimes you just can't predict that these things are going to happen. They just do. And unfortunately, a couple buckle bombs, and Sting, unfortunately, is winless in WWE. This sucked. This this sucked just watching this matchup. But we get Sting in the Hall of Fame. Hey, this is fine. He gets to talk about some of his great stuff. Not just his retirement. Oh. Now I'm an emotional wreck. Just emotional sadness, everything, just... Man. Yeah, so needless to say, Sting's debut was awesome. Everything that happened after that is kind of like watching a very... It's kind of like... Well, how can I really describe it? It's like watching so many different sad animal-related movies. I'm talking like Marley and Me, Homeward Bound, and so on and so forth. The waterworks just keep coming. That's how I describe Sting's career in WWE.
At least in WWE, because I will never forget that Survivor Series 2014 moment. Like, I had in the back of my head that Dolph Ziggler was going to win somehow. Like, okay, what's going to happen? But once I heard, Rock! Like, what? Perked right up. I was probably watching it in like a group chat stream, and everyone was losing their shit. Like, no, it's not. But Sting actually had a thing earlier on in 2014 where they were doing a special about Ultimate Warrior after he died. And, right. Sting being the tag team partner of him, he just said a thing, and that was that. It was something to do with wrestling journalist Bill Apter, and they chronicled Sting's career for a piece on WWE.com, and it stated in there that his best days may be yet to come. So that's a classic little bait and switch going on there. WrestleMania was a mess. I mean, you had NWO and DX. Here's the thing. Sean Waltman and Shawn Michaels are members of both. So, who's helping who here? Yeah, I know Shawn Michaels was in NWO for like 2 months in 2002, but it still counts a little bit. Man, like Sting, if that's something to fantasy book down the line is Sting's WWE run, my goodness, we could have a field day with that.
Yes.
It was a mess. And as for Night of Champions, I mean, accidents happen. I mean, we've seen horrible ones like D'Lo and Draws comes to mind, and Draws is like, hey, no, I don't blame D'Lo for anything that happened. Accidents happen. But I mean, we lost. I think it was a result of that, or was it after Finn Balor that that buckle bomb was just okay? That's it. Let's get rid of that move. Not blaming Seth, but it's like, yeah, that move's a little risky. It's kind of like why we don't see an actual pile driver, like the one that Sami Callihan hit at Slammiversary, but like an old school Texas pile. Yeah, we don't see that anymore. Or sit down version of the Tombstone. Thank God.
Yeah, that one. That one I can agree does deserve to be like gone forever.
Yeah. So yeah, Sting. I mean, it's great that he finally came to WWE because everyone was wanting it. I mean, we talked about this before. Do you remember those vignettes in I think 2011 that had this 3-11-11 or something, and everyone was like, it's Sting, it's Sting, it's Sting, and even then I'm like, it's Taker. No, it's not Sting. It's Taker. He's still under contract with Impact, and lo and behold, we had Taker Triple H, but we'll never get Sting Taker. I'm just going to say, I even if we do it, no, they're not going to do it to Saudi. Sting's got to be in his 60s now, so there's No, we have to leave it in the past, as sad as that is. Yep, Sting, one of the all-time greats, I'll say right here, like probably in the top, not Mount Rushmore, but probably in like the top 10 or 20.
No, I definitely agree with that. And if you remember, I did actually fantasy book that Sting and Taker would have happened at this year's WrestleMania, even though I knew it wasn't going to happen. It was one of those far-fetched fantasy books, but whatever. So, bottom line, Sting, like I said, he is one of the biggest centerpieces of wrestling history. This was a guy who gave his body, his livelihood on the line. He definitely created so many great moments. He created so many great matches. There was just so much untapped potential with Sting. This is a guy who started off as, just this blonde-haired, light-faced, I shouldn't say it like that, bright-colored face. There we go. Kid that definitely shook the nation, and then when he went to the dark side, he created a legacy. Whether it was in WCW, NWA, UWF, I'll even throw that in there, TNA, WWE, he still created an impact, and he definitely is a huge influence to so many people, and I'm so glad that I got that chance to meet him at last year's StarCast. That was one of those things where I think even people I think that was going to be his last appearance for those kind of deals. So that was kind of one of those things where if that's true, I want to be a part of that. I want to be able to say thank you to Sting. And he is a very cool and very mellow guy to meet. And I just remember saying, dude, thank you so much for everything you've done, whether it was your wrestling, whether it was your character. You just gave us so much, so thank you so much. And yeah, he was very cool. He definitely was one of those guys who appreciates the fact that people were thanking him. It was just really cool to see him. And all hail the Stinger.
Woo! Yeah, big time love for Sting here, especially the feud with the NWO. That just should have been better. The intrigue was there. The build was eternal. But yeah, it pooped the bed a little bit. But I'll just say, for a time, he was the hottest thing. He was the reason why people were kind of being like, oh yeah, I'm going to turn on Nitro here. I want to see what Sting's going to do. Oh, this week he's repelling. Oh, this week he's, although this is TNA, where he took off his own plastic souvenir mask to reveal his face paint face underneath.
I remember that. I remember that.
It's the best. Oh yeah, love Stinger, man. Woo.
Woo indeed. We're old. We can't do the high-pitched woo. Deal with it. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and then Mr. Fretz, I got a little surprise for us. So stay tuned, guys. Stay tuned. We will be right back. Hey guys, this is NateFNGreat. Hey, have you ever wanted to be a champion but can't seem to really find the money and the time to get a championship belt? Well, you know who's a really good friend of mine? AJ from AJsBelts.com. These guys have a large assortment of championship belts, from classic belts to the modern day belts to championship belts you would not even believe. And guys, like I said, they work with you very well. With an awesome layaway program, there is no way that you can beat these guys' prices as well as these guys' deals, especially when you can give them a little bit of money every now and then until you can get that championship gold. Coming from a guy who's a champion and a game changer, I'm indeed NateFNGreat. I'm representing AJsBelts.com, proud friends of the Game Changer Podcast.
What's going on, guys? This is Zach, your host of the Young Lions Perspective Podcast, and you are listening to the Game Changer Podcast on Wrestle, Addict, Radio.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to this edition of the Game Changer Podcast. I am NateFNGreat, joined here by Mr. Fretz. So much happening, so much crazy stuff that's going to be taking place, and it's all happening on the biggest party of the summer. In all honesty, I think that it's only going to be fair that Wrestle Addict Radio definitely makes August the biggest party month of the summer. So I'm issuing a challenge to everybody at Wrestle Addict Radio to definitely bring your A game when it comes to August. Let's make wrestling real, but let's make it fun and entertaining. Let's do it. There's going to be a lot of great stuff coming up in August, and we definitely need to address something here because we had ourselves a little bit of a challenge issued, Mr. Fretz. So I think it's only fair that we give the man his time. So for those that don't know, take it away, Slackamora.
Good day, Twitter. It is I, Slack, the intern of Kings of the Ring podcast. Slackamore, whatever you wish to call me, it is me. Now, I've been wanting to do another fantasy booking for a while, but I haven't had anything come up where I'm like, oh, I want to book that. Until last night at Extreme Rules. And I'm calling two people out to do this with me. Mr. Fretz and NateFNGreat. Last night at Extreme Rules, Cesaro and Nakamura won the tag team titles. Yay! By defeating the New Day in a tables match after they put Kofi Kingston through a table. And Big E was not looking too happy. So, I say, the three of us run it back with the fantasy booking warfare. We go and make we make our own Big E heel turn and singles run. And we do it for the Game Changer podcast. What do you guys think?
What do we think? Well, first of all, F you, Slack. I had to. I'm sorry.
You're still fired.
Oh, wait, that's right. I don't even know if he was really even hired with us. There was consideration to have him on here, but I think he was fired before we even possibly even thought about hiring him. But to answer your question, Mr. Slack, we accept. So
Yep.
Next month, you guys, you will definitely be hearing a podcast where it'll be myself, Mr. Fretz, and Mr. Slack. We will be doing a booking episode where we will be talking about how we would book the Big E heel turn as well as a Big E singles run. So, bit of a challenge for us. One thing we definitely wanted to mention is the fact that we will be covering for a special, I guess you could call it, a 20 belt salute episode, that being covering SummerSlam 2000. And this is going to be definitely a fun deal because we're going to be covering first ever TLC match. That's the one matchup I'm looking forward to amongst just so much other things in that entire event. Bringing back a review for that. We're also going to be doing SummerSlam 92, and we may have one more special guest lined up for this huge event. So, guys, Kings of the Rings, Young Lions Perspective, the Delight Show, again, challenge is out. Let's make the entire month of August the biggest party month of the summer. Do you think I'm even going to have a job after this month with that kind of challenge?
Yeah, I'm not willing to party for 30 days straight. To quote Detective Murtaugh, I'm too old for that shit. I just had I polished off this tall boy of beer, and I'm good. And plus, working 6 days a week, I ain't got time for that either. But yeah, let's make this a really fun month, a really great month. I haven't looked ahead 20 bell-wise for what we're going to see in pop culture, but you'll see it when you see it on that regard. But when it comes to Big E single run, that's something that I've always wondered, and I've always wondered about a New Day breakup. I don't want them to. I'll say that right off the bat. I actually brought this up in another friend of mine's podcast, and he's like, "Why are you trying to break up the New Day? Stop it!" Really, yeah, and I'm with them there. It's going to be a heck of a month. 2000's one of my favorite Attitude Era pay-per-views. 92 just holds a special place in my heart for many reasons, and yeah, and then we got this year's SummerSlam, which is, well, we have no idea what it's going to look like because, once again, Performance Center. Thank you, COVID-19. Thank you, curve flattening people.
Hashtag salty frets because of COVID. I totally understand that. But, guys, we got so much stuff that's even going to be coming up before the month of August even comes around. Like I said, the following day that this is airing, the interview that I have with Melina will be posting, and that's something that a lot of people are looking forward to seeing. I've been trying to book this for quite a while. Ever since I did that extravaganza with Val, Lisa, and Melina, I just need to get them one-on-one. So right now, I'm looking forward to you guys listening into it. It's a very deep episode, so for those of you that are not going to be, in touch with your feelings, you might not get the kind of rush that you were hoping for. But at the same time, for those of you that want to kind of get a different perspective of Melina, this is definitely a podcast that you will enjoy. It is definitely something that showcases that there are two sides to every deal, and also I fear angry Melina. Just stating that right now. Definitely want to do a couple plugs. One I definitely want to put over is the Ruthless Aggression Pod, who had their Season 2 finale covering Armageddon 2003. Jake, Kyle, Levi, you guys do an absolutely phenomenal job at just creating a just wonderful show. And just remember that I'm looking forward to Season 3, and I'll bring the skitty.
And I'll bring the Pepsi Blue. I literally have a can in the fridge.
Oh my gosh! I feel like we're getting as involved in their show as we are in our own shows. But you know something? They're just really entertaining. 3 different minds watching this. It's just absolutely just fantastic. Just absolutely love that. Definitely want to give a shout out to those wrestling girls. They're absolutely a lot of fun to listen to. All the retrospectives that they have as far as talking about, just the women in general and just talking about women topics. It's just absolutely great listening in to that. I did make a challenge to them about possibly doing a fantasy booking for Evolution 2, and they said maybe, which I'll take over no. I'll take that over no. If they can fantasy book an Evolution 2, I will totally listen to that. Like I said, that's one of those things that would just hook me in, because I want to know how they would kind of put it together. Trying to think if there was any other shows that were here. I definitely need to do shout-outs to all of our wonderful people, The Delight Show, Young Lions Perspective, Kings of the Rings. And as you kind of noticed, guys, we've been doing a couple of trends every single week. We have so many great things that are coming throughout the week. So definitely tune in to Wrestle Addict Radio's feed. Be sure to follow us there. Be sure to give us a like on our Facebook page. Be sure to follow us on our Instagram page. Because, again, so many great things are happening. And it's just going to keep snowballing and keep getting better and better as time goes on. So definitely tune in and watch out, because Wrestle Addict Radio, we're looking to create a storm. And to be honest, it's probably not going to be that soothing. Let's face it. We're basically, you guys are in for a big, huge, rude awakening. No pun intended, to the master Rick Rude himself.
Yeah, and of course, look out for our merch on teespring.com. Just search for Wrestle Addict Radio. Patreons, you'll get a discount. You'll get shows like Fretz's Fave 5. You'll get my monthly pop culture wrestling show, 20 Bell Salute. There are Love and War, and some fantasy bookings with Nate. Nate just released Top 10 TNA heel turns, which I'm sorry I've yet to listen to, but your Jinder Mahal rebooking was phenomenal.
Thank you.
And I got to give a shout out once again, Cultaholic. They churn out my wrestling news. They churn out the classic Raw and SmackDown reviews. This week, by the time you hear this, their feed will have Survivor Series 94 with Tom Campbell, Matthew from Botchamania, and Justin Henry. So be on the lookout for that. It's awesome.
Nice. And I will also say this, that I am going to be doing a monthly game show on Patreon, which we are still working on the process of the name, but I can definitely tell you this right now, that the first contestant on that show will be one of our Patreons. Jermaine will be the first contestant on the show, and I'm looking forward to creating these questions. I'm very interested to seeing how well his wrestling knowledge is, because in all honesty, he was one of those guys who definitely did try to answer as much as he could. I know that there's been a lot of other people that have been trying to answer as much as they can. It's going to be a lot of fun. Definitely tune into that. It's going to be great. Like I said, name itself, it's still a work in progress, but we're working on a lot of other great things going into the future. In all honesty, August is going to definitely be it's going to be a shift in tide as far as the game, the Game Changer, as well as Wrestle Addict Radio. Definitely tune into that. It's going to be absolutely great. In all honesty, we got about 10 more minutes to talk about whatever we kind of want to talk about. So, trying to think here. This is really cool. So, I've been asked to do another commentary job for ACW Wisconsin. I'm looking forward to doing that. It's going to be absolutely great. It's going to be for an All-Star Rumble event. So I can honestly say now that I'll be calling my first quote-unquote Royal Rumble of sorts. Basically, the winner of that match will take on the ACW Heavyweight Champion, Logan Lynch, at the anniversary show that takes place in December. I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be absolutely great. There's just going to be so much more. Definitely listen into, watch the wrestling show on YouTube. The guys over there, Matt Jones, Kate Jones, so many great people from there. It's just going to be absolutely crazy just watching this. And got some big plans going on for the wrestling show in the future. So definitely watch out for that, because there's going to be a lot of great things. And if you watch the show as much as you can, you definitely know that I have made a special challenge out to a special wrestler on that show. So, I think in all honesty, that's all I've got for this. But, Mr. Fretz, did you have anything else that you wanted to plug since we got about 9 more minutes?
No, just everything on Wrestle Addict Radio, Fretzlemania on Anchor.fm. That's Fretzle Mania. A lot of my content ends up on there, so you give that a listen, send me a voicemail. Buy some Fretzlemania merch if you want to, and when you get some stuff, take a picture, send it to us, and we'll be sure to plug it. That's all I got, brother.
Yeah, no, that's going to be great. I can definitely tell you right now that we're definitely going to have some more pictures of merch from people, and we may even have some wrestlers in our merch in the near future. In all honesty, I'm looking forward to this. It's going to be absolutely phenomenal, you guys. I'm excited for that. It's crazy to think that we are just about over halfway done with this year, man. We're already we're almost 8 months in, which means the holiday season is just about to pick up again, and it's going to be interesting.
I've started my Christmas shopping already.
I really need to, because, well, actually, it's going to be a double deal for me, because I'm going to have to do birthday shopping for my nephews who were born around Thanksgiving time. And then after that is going to be Christmas. So it's kind of one of those things where it's like I have to spoil them immensely because they're adorable and they're my nephews. I kind of have to. I'm the cool uncle after all.
Fact, being one myself.
And, it's also crazy to think that in a few weeks I'll be turning 30, because that's just one of those things that where it just kind of dawns on you that, wow, life has already gone by that fast. 30 years old, and it's like a third. Well, I can't really say a third of my life is going to, because we don't know that. I may live to be 120. Please don't let me live to be 130. I will be shocked if I make it that far. But I'm looking forward to seeing what the next 10 years brings, because the last 10 years was definitely an eye opener as far as wrestling goes. So much great shit going on there, and now it's just like, okay, got 10 more years chugging, see what the hell happens.
Indeed, brother. Yeah, I'm WrestleMania years old, so got a little bit more of experience there.
I don't know if it's really bad to be WrestleMania years old. That just means that every single time WrestleMania comes around, it's just like, yes, I'm the same age as WrestleMania. It's like, yeah, you're that much cooler than WrestleMania. Just saying.
That much older, even though WrestleMania came out when I was not even one.
And I'm also really sad. Actually, did you hear the news about WrestleMania not taking place in Hollywood next year?
Yep. COVID be damned. I mean, we're seeing it right now. It's announced for being in Florida, but I don't keep track of that news anymore because it's just so depressing. But is it Florida right now, at least the epicenter for COVID? I don't know why they're thinking about having it there. It's it's going to be at the PC again at this rate. So I don't know, man. But I'm looking forward to seeing what it's going to look like. Like when we get crowds again, I hope cinematic wrestling isn't a thing of the past. I mean, we've had a few controversial ones, but I like it. And everyone's really annoyed. Like, the friggin' plexiglass. Being a hockey fan, that's typical. We're used to that. Everyone hates it, but it's probably a good thing because California is also kind of a hotbed for COVID, so whatever.
It's kind of one of those things where I'm just waiting for somebody to actually get sent through the plexiglass like a hockey player would in one of these days in WWE or wrestling. Although we did see Keith Lee do that during his match with Adam Cole, who shockingly dropped the North American title. So at NXT TakeOver 30, which is another shock to us, holy crap, that we're going to have a North American title ladder match, which in all honesty makes sense. The first champion was determined via a ladder match. Why not bring back tradition again?
Did you see? No, this week on NXT we had a triple threat between, was it Roddy Strong, Johnny Gargano, and Bronson Reed?
I did see bits and pieces of that, and
thick boy.
Jeez, Bronson Reed winning that matchup was a shock to me. I was thinking it was probably going to be Gargano or something like that. And then Finn Balor has a promo where he's basically saying, "Oh, I want the North American title," and all I'm thinking is, ooh, Finn Balor's North American champion. That would that would be juicy. I would be all for that.
Oh, that one's like Finn Balor versus I forget. Oh crap, Dexter Lumis. And I can't think of the. I want to say it's Dijakovic. I want to say the third one's Dijakovic, but he was kind of beaten the crap out of by Karrion Kross this week. So
Dusty Dave's bro.
Dusty Dave's Dusty Dave's twin was beat up by King Ricky's twin.
Oh my gosh, it's great. I love Karrion Kross. He's just one of those guys who just literally is just like, I can destroy anybody, and people are just going to have to deal with it. And it's like, yep, nope, that's true. Also, Eddie Kingston making his debut on AEW this past week. That was a shock to me. And also, he just like punks out Cody on the microphone, and then ends up just being like, "Okay, Cody, you're going through the text for the first time." Oh boy, that was just a brutal shot. That was just a brutal spot.
Yeah, I knew about Eddie Kingston. I was already at work when everything was going on. I think the group chat spoiled it for me, but I don't care about spoiling AEW. It doesn't really matter to me. But yeah, he fresh out of Evolve. Now that I see that, and I'm like, oh, wait, Proud and Powerful are in AEW. Eddie Kingston, LAX reunion, man.
Oof.
Or maybe Eddie Kingston joins the Inner Circle, because we saw the Sex God come back this week too. So
Sammy Guevara, I don't know. I'm not gonna lie. I was very happy to see Sammy back. I loved the relationship between Sammy and Chris Jericho. It's just one of those things where it's like they work so well off each other, and I love it.
There's going to be like a career match. I'm going to call it Sammy Guevara is going to retire Chris Jericho.
Ooh. That would be one of those things I'd be interested in seeing. That would be interesting. I'm trying to think if there was anything else that happened on AEW or something like that. Well, nothing really too crazy. I mean, other than the fact that they got the FTW championship, which is arguably the greatest championship of all time. Let's face it. Especially during this time. It is literally one of those things where it just speaks to everybody.
Yeah. It got a title that Taz made up. So I think it had something to do with Shane Douglas refusing to defend the ECW title. Mm-hmm. Then he invents this, and I'm like, yeah, that's like calling yourself the 7-Eleven European.
7-Eleven 24/7 European I-49. Just, oh my god. Also, R-Truth tried to break Shayna Baszler this past week, and it was amazing.
Yeah. It's like Steve Austin and Taker. Like it's Steve. We try to break Taker on Raw, like give him a slap and like yell in his face. Nope.
Nope. All right. So we're out of time, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining in, especially during that last 10 minutes of just us riffing. It's whatever. We have fun here at the Game Changer Podcast, as well as on Wrestle Addict Radio. Definitely check out Mr. Fretz at the legendary JF, and check out myself at Real Effin' Game. Love to hear from you guys. Love the support. Thank you guys so much. And just remember, in this time, be smart, be safe, and remain positive, and know that you can make a difference. Thank you guys so much. We will see you in the next episode. August, here we come.
Pork chop sandwiches.
This has been a Wrestle Addict Radio branded podcast.